Good morning, everyone. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Happy Saturday. We have a ton on the agenda. We are covering a lot. Some things I'm not even familiar with, but we have the right crew to do it. So very exciting. We have a ton to get through today. Before we get in today and I bring in the stars, we have got to give a clap to the Friday crowd here. I mean, everybody's winning. Sia with a push, but that is not a loss. We will be giving Sia a hard time about that, but we cannot complain about the amount of green check marks we are seeing on this board. So I'm going to bring in the crew. Hopefully we can do something similar to what just happened on Friday. And I have a good feeling we have the right crew for it. Amags, Buckets, Phil, talking some cars, some racing cars. Very excited for this. Phil, this is a big day in racing, it seems like, no?
This is a huge weekend. It's probably the biggest weekend of the year. We've got an Xfinity race today. Formula One is qualifying in Monaco as we speak. Tomorrow, you've got the Indy 500, Formula One, and NASCAR's Cup Series, Coke 600. It is nonstop action all weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting weekend and a Memorial Day weekend. I'm down live from the Jersey Shore. Somebody had to do it, okay? Someone had to bring the beach vibes for a weekend like this. All right, before we get into the races, the soccer, Amags, let's start off patriotic here. Let's go to the mound. Let's go to the MLB. What do you got for us today?
All right, Kenz. Well, yeah, I'll kick us off here. I'll be the leadoff hitter, and really with some different day games in the MLB. I think that's pretty apropos. So when you're looking at the one play, this is already up on the website. I got it at -135 when it first came out, but this is the 140 game between the Mets and the San Francisco Giants. We're going with Jordan Hicks over 3.5 strikeouts. And I say that I got it at -135. It's moved to -150 or so. I still would play it there. And it's more about getting in at 3.5. This is such a low number for strikeouts. Now, we see guys like Ty Block yesterday, right? 2.5 strikeouts. He stays under the number. Sometimes there are reasons for these guys to have the numbers there. But today, when you look at 3.5 on Jordan Hicks, who has actually some of the best ratings on his main pitches, in the majors, he really is a solid pitcher. He comes from a relief role into a starter. You guys have heard me talk about him before. The Mets aren't a great matchup for strikeouts, but I don't think that they're all that bad either. It's pretty middle of the road, in my opinion. And again, at the 3.5 number, you don't have to do much to get over this. Lastly, the big thing I think is kind of maybe helping to depress that number is 5 innings and 1 strikeout last time out against Colorado. Pretty good matchup. Kind of look at it like, what the heck happened? Well, the guy was throwing up before the game. He was really sick before the game. They said he had to sit in the locker room and eat like toast and bread. I don't even know why they had him start, to be honest, but he gutted out 5 innings. His velocity was down like 3-4 miles an hour. So just not a good spot to be in. You roll him out there, like I said, gutted out 5 innings, only 1 strikeout. Now you look at it at face value. You're kind of like, I don't know what's going on with his strikeouts. Maybe I don't want to bet over 3.5, but you dig in, you're like, draw a line through that. The kid was sick. You look at the rest of his starts. He really has been at least at the 3 or over on strikeouts. So I like getting in at 3.5 for him. I think the number is just too low today. And then secondly, with the hat, I threw on the Yankee hat. I had to because I saw Aaron Judge hit run RBI was plus 100. Look, I get that he is facing off against Dylan Cease, but even Dylan Cease, last 2 starts, he's like 9 2/3 innings, 8 runs, 14 hits allowed. Like, he hasn't been the dominant guy that we saw for that 5-6 start stretch to start the season. Now, he has had some good performances in the last 5, but 3 of the last 5, I believe, it's been like 3 or more earned runs. So I do think this Yankees team, they are so hot. You get Aaron Judge hitting towards the top of the lineup for the away team. It's plus 100 for a guy that can walk and get on base very easily, get you a run. I truly do think at plus 100, you just have to kind of play it blindly and walk away. Juan Soto as well. I like that. Dylan Cease has struggled against, at least struggled, I'll say, against the left side more than the right side. He hasn't really struggled either way. But the lefties have been the one to get to him. So if you want to go with Soto, we saw the home run yesterday. We saw the near second home run that he almost hit. I think either of those are fine. But I like Judge at plus 100.
Yeah, I don't know much about – I do know a good amount about baseball. I don't know too much, but I do know if you can get Aaron Judge at even money for over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, that is something you want to take. All right, I see Chip is in the chat shouting out Georgia Bulldogs. I can get behind that. Go Dogs. Thank you, Chip. And we got Edward, who is pumped about Phil and the races. But before we get to all that, let's talk about BetMGM. If you want to place any of these bets here, new BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you will receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That is EDGE, EDGE. All right, we got a ton to get through. But before we do that, we're going to hear a quick word from one of our partners.
Wake up to football highlights and news from around the world with the one and only Morning Footy team.
Rise and shine, football fans. Welcome to Morning Footy.
Start your all-day football craze with Morning Footy, part of the all-new Golazo Network.
All right, I know we got racing and we got soccer to get through, but I'm going to, get my picks out of here. I'll stop yapping and then we can hear some of the good stuff here. But we got to talk about the NBA, the playoffs going on right now. We've been doing pretty well with the player props so far in Kenz's playoff prop party. But today, we're going back to the well. We're going to Derek White over 15.5 points. I'm stunned that this line isn't at 16.5. We saw it steam up to 17.5 in game one. And even with a slow start in that first game, he still finished with 23 points. He still went over this comfortably. If you take out the middle of that Cavs series around game 2 to game 4, he was playing average basketball. But if you take that out of the equation, he's 7-2 to this over in this playoffs. I think we're seeing more of the Derek White that we saw in the Heat series and towards the end of that Cavs series than we did in the middle. I think they're just pricing him wrong still. Again, other guards who average around 14 to 16 points like Derek White does when they're playing Indiana, they are 9-7 to this over, averaging 18.5 points. And when they're playing them at home, 9-6 to that over. So again, this is just a good spot for him. I don't want to overthink this here. He went over this comfortably with a bad start. So I don't know why he couldn't do this again. Possibly no Tyrese Halliburton. Could be a great Boston win. Now, we're going over to the W. I've entered my WNBA era starting about 2 days ago, but it's going pretty well so far. We're going to go to the Lynx Liberty here. Both teams coming off some tough losses. The Lynx have played 2 overtime games in their 3 games so far. You have the Liberty who just lost to the Sky, a 16.5 point favorite. So they are not happy. But they're on the road, and we're going to go to Sabrina Ionescu here, over 5.5 assists. She went over this last game. She's gone over this in 3 of the 5 games so far this season. Small sample size, but I think this is still a buy low because of how they played last game. You had Jonquel Jones, who got in early foul trouble, so she wasn't able to produce a lot, wasn't even allowed on the court that long. She played about 25 minutes. And you had Brianna Stewart, who couldn't even make a shot in the first half. So this is more a play on the role players around her. I think that will perform better, and naturally she will be able to get her assists for this team. So we got an NBA play, we got a WNBA play, and now we are 180ing. Phil, it is time. I am pumped up. I know you got a lot for us for this massive weekend, but let's start with the Indy 500. Let's start with the big guns here. What do you got for us?
All right, so this is a new one. This is a new one from the article. We're going to start off with a head-to-head. We're going to take Marcus Ericsson over Graham Rahal. This is minus 125 over at DraftKings. Both guys are starting in the very, very last row of the starting grid. So, to the naked eye, it's an even match, but there's way more to it as soon as you dig in. So, Marcus Ericsson, he crashed his car during practice earlier, into the run-up of the Indy 500, whereas Rahal has just been slow. Marcus Ericsson, he's the 2022 Indy 500 champion. He was the runner-up last year. In fact, Marcus Ericsson is incredible on IndyCar Oval. So as long as he's turning left and left only, he's the guy. He's finished in the top 10 in 10 straight since 2022 on ovals. You can have that at plus 210 at Caesars if you want a top 10 bet. But Graham Rahal and most of his teammates, they've struggled for pace throughout the practice sessions and qualifying. 3 of them are starting in the last 2 rows along with Graham. So Rahal, he barely qualified last year. That's fine, the same as Ericsson this year. But he didn't make the show in his own car. He actually subbed in for somebody else. So these are 2 guys going completely different directions. They just happen to be starting next to each other. Let's grab the value with Marcus Ericsson.
All right, and let's just keep running down the list here. I know we got another Indy race pick here.
Yeah, let's do it. So we're going to take Colton Herta over Santino Ferrucci. I've been pounding the drum about this pick all week long. This is just a matchup that shouldn't exist. The only advantage Ferrucci has over Colton Herta is the starting position. He's starting 6th, Herta's starting 13th. However, Herta's pit crew, 4th ranked on the circuit. Ferrucci is 20th ranked. So the Indy 500, it's a long marathon of a race. There's going to be between 8 and 10 4-tire pit stops. So it shouldn't take long for her to surpass Ferrucci on the track.
All right. And what about, we got a few more races here, don't we? So let's talk about the BetMGM 300 here. So the Xfinity race, what is that relative to the Indy 500? What's going on over there?
They could not be more different. This race is today. It's at 1 o'clock. It's the Xfinity Series, which is like the B tier of NASCAR. So it's right below the Cup Series. But this race has a ton of guys doing double duty. So we're going to pick on one of those guys. We're taking Austin Hill over Chase Elliott. So this bet may get us in trouble with the chat. I'm not looking at the chat, but Chase Elliott is NASCAR's most popular driver. He's a previous Cup champion. So it looks like a mismatch. It's not. We have a theory about this. When a Cup driver drops down into the Xfinity Series, it used to be they would just dominate. They had just been in those cars. It was very similar. But now this next-gen Cup car is so much different than an Xfinity car. They've been so far removed. We like the regulars in the Xfinity Series to get it done today. So Austin Hill, we get the point series leader. He's got 2 wins this year, 5 out of 6 finishes a 7th place or better in our data set. He's second in average running position. This is a mismatch again. Give me Austin Hill over Chase Elliott.
All right. Down in the B leagues, we can still make money there. Let's talk about one more race, Phil, since it's such a packed weekend here. Talking about the Coke 600 Cup race. I really love these names. I feel like I could get behind naming some of these races.
You could. They should leave it up to you. But we'll go with the Coke 600. This is Sunday night. This is after the Indy 500. So a little nightcap. This is the longest race of the year. So, grab some popcorn. You got 4 stages. Each one is 100 laps. This race is unique because it starts in the daytime. It ends under the lights. The track is going to evolve throughout. So drivers will be struggling for grip and speed, and then they'll get more of that as the night goes on. So our first bet, keeping all that in mind, is Martin Truex, top 5. That's plus 165 over at Bet Rivers. Martin Truex is really, really good in our sim and our model. He's 4th in green flag speed in 2024. He's got the 4th best overall pit crew, pluses on and off time. There's a ton of pit stops in this one as well. So we look for him to gain spots throughout the night. He's been in position quite a few times this year. We're going to look for him to get it done here. And we're going to sprinkle his outright at 11-1.
All right, let's hit one more pick here for the Coke 600.
Last one, Chris Buescher over Christopher Bell, battle of the Chris's. And we're going to take Chris Buescher here. When Roush Fenway Racing got hot last year, it was sustained success. Chris Buescher, he went on a tear. He won 3 of 5 races at one stretch, all on different track types. Last weekend, he ran 3rd in the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro. He was leading Darlington 2 weeks ago with under 10 laps to go, and he got wrecked from the lead by Tyler Reddick. His teammate won, Brad Keselowski. The week before that in Kansas, he finished 2nd. He led 53 laps. So our recent form metric has Buescher rated 8.7. Bell is way behind at 15.3. Bell's green flag speed has been 18th or worst in the last 5 races for 3 of them. Buescher's been better every single time. Buescher has the 6th best pit crew. Bell's is 17th. And again, this is a long race, lots of pit stops. Christopher Bell has been mistake prone. Let's just get to the window with Chris Buescher over Christopher Bell.
Wow. I feel like I just learned a ton, or maybe I was just really overwhelmed with the ton, but I feel like that was a lot of great information for people who don't know a lot about racing. I feel like I trust Phil here. Maybe I'll be sprinkling on the Coke 600 myself here because I like the name. All right, Buckets, I've kept you quiet long enough here. You've been patiently waiting. I know the people are pumped for the soccer picks as well. What's going on in the soccer world today for us who are not too familiar?
We've got a whole mess of things going on in the soccer worlds. We have cup finals taking place in France and Germany. We've got end of the title races taking place in Poland. We've also got a bunch of matches that frankly do not matter. And we're going to bet on a couple different things here, starting in the Polish Ekstraklasa between RKS Krakow and Śląsk Wrocław. Now, in the Polish league, there are 2 teams currently sitting at the top of the table, tied on 60 points, which means that Białystok and Wrocław both need to win today if they want to win the league. So we're going to take Śląsk Wrocław on the draw no bet at minus 130. Krakow is a tough place to play, but with everything at stake and in the form that Śląsk Wrocław is currently in, I love the fact that we can take a safety net here in case this does end in a draw at minus 130. However, if you want to sprinkle the money line at plus 140, I do not hate that at all. I have Śląsk Wrocław winning this game 2-1, 3-1 kind of score line. Then we're going to Italy's Serie A as they enter their last match day here. And we have a game that doesn't matter. However, it matters to us because we can still find betting value here. AC Milan hosting Salernitana is a game that doesn't matter because AC Milan, no matter what happens this match, will end second on the table in Italy. They cannot pass Inter. They cannot drop. They're pretty much done this season. Meanwhile, Salernitana cannot escape relegation. This is a team that has had an abysmal and appalling season. They're done. They're going back to Serie B. It doesn't matter how they play. However, when it's your very last match in Serie A before you get relegated, you want to give your traveling fans something to cheer for and something to support. I'm taking both teams to score at -125, which has actually hit in the last 3 head-to-head matches between these two clubs because AC Milan is the better team, but they're going to rotate, and Salernitana wants to go out with a little bit of glory if possible here.
All right. We are going all over the place today with all these picks. We got a little bit of the patriotic MLB plays. We're going international. We're going to the racing. Big plays for Memorial Day weekend. Amags, let's hear it. What do you got?
Just real quick, you mentioned patriotism and something I saw here in the chat. Bryce Harper yesterday, when he was thrown out of the game in the first inning, he's one of the most like fun-loving, American-loving guys that I could think of, right? And we've already got Big Cheesy in here talking about the total bases. Somebody talked about the home run. I think that's a pretty good spot. When you look at his numbers against Dakota Hudson too, I think a guy that wants to come out today after being thrown out in the first inning, I think he can definitely perform well. So I'm all for what the chat's talking about with Harper.
I like that a lot, especially Philadelphia. Like, it doesn't get more patriotic than that. This is the place to be. I will say, Phil with the Northeastern accent really felt like home for me. Now that I'm back in Jersey, something about it really makes me feel like I'm home. All right, I'm going to attempt, guys, to take a look at this recap screen. There is a lot going on here from the team. All right, Buckets, I'm just going to have you tell me what your picks are here.
Yep, we're taking Slask Vorkla on the draw no bet against Rakow, and both teams to score in AC Milan versus Salernitana.
Bang. All right. Amags is on Jordan Hicks over 3.5 strikeouts, and he's also on Aaron Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. That's my fault. Didn't add it to the recap, but that is certainly a play we like. Derek White, I like over 15.5 points. Also adding a little W play with Sabrina Ionescu over 5.5 assists. Phil is covering us with the racing today. We got the Indy 500. We got Marcus Ericsson over Grammar Hall. We got Colton Herta over Santino Ferrucci. I hope I said that right. BetMGM 300 Xfinity race. We have Austin Hill over Chase Elliott. Coke 600. We have Martin Truex to be a top 5 finish, and Chris Buescher over Christopher Bell. All right, guys. This is a little longer than we usually are here on a Saturday. I know it's a big day. I know everyone has some awesome plans for this long weekend. So I hope everyone makes some money today, pays for some drinks, and we will see you guys on Monday.